Welcome to episode number 52 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight
53.
on 53. That's right, 53. As always, I'm your host, Tim Shelber at Big Shep 79, with my co-host Stephen Loeffler at Junkwax Twins and Ben Wilson at our Trading Cards. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we hope to bring you a smart, insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. Check out the new website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. A handful of new releases. Reviews on the new releases popped up there. We just posted the checklist for Stadium Club that comes out next week. Spoiler alert. And we have a special guest co-host tonight, Joey, a.k.a. Dub Mentality. Shiver's on the show. What's up, Dub? How are we doing tonight, bud?
Hey, good, guys. How are you? Glad
awesome.
to be here. Appreciate you having me.
We're very excited. I wore this hat in honor of you being on the show tonight. It's a Braves hat. And no, I'm a big, you know what? Hey, if the Royals and Giants are going to be real terrible, you know, the Braves have a nice young core, and it's good to see some new blood again back in, you know, playing some good baseball. So that's always great. So I want to get in real quick. We're going to ask you a few questions before we get into the normal show. So tell us a little bit about your collecting history. How did it start? You know, what got you into the hobby? And if you left, what got you back?
Well, I probably have a very similar story to most people my age. I'm 42. I started collecting, heavily collecting, around 88. I had some cards in 88. I had some cards from 85, 86, but I wasn't just really into the hobby. But started collecting in 88. One card that I remember, one of the first cards that I got, was the Ozzie Smith rookie card, and the reason I remember it is, I believe I was in 5th grade, and I traded a guy on the playground. I traded him a WWF at the time action figure for the Ozzie Smith. I can't remember who it was, like Greg the Hammer Valentine or somebody, and he gave me an Ozzie Smith card, and I found out later that it was the rookie card, I started buying packs at, Walmart. You could pick them up anywhere back then. 7-Eleven, Swanee Swifty, which is a store we had down here in Georgia. But collected up until around the baseball strike, because 94 I was a junior in high school. So the strike timed out perfectly for my, starting to get into chicks and all that stuff. I was 17. The baseball strike happened. I never got rid of my cards, but I stopped actively buying, and came back in and out during the late 90s, early 2000s. I think I collected a lot in 98 football. That was like Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf area, and then really got back into baseball probably around 04, 05, and been back ever since. I never really went too far away, but I stopped all the heavy buying when the strike happened in baseball, and kind of went away for a while and did my 17, 18, 19-year-old stuff.
Yeah, no, and I'm a little bit younger, but the strike really affected collecting for me. It's about when I stopped as well. Who do you PC? Like, who do you collecting today?
Well, any Braves. I collect Braves, Hawks, Falcons, and then Georgia players. I guess my main PC player is Ron Gant. Been a Ron Gant fan since '89. If you recall, the Braves were really bad in '89. I think they lost 93 games. And Gant was he came up in '88, went back down in '89, and then came up in '90 and was 30-30. First Brave to go 30-30 in I don't know how long, but he was 30-30 in '90 and '91. And 90 is when we started the run of 14 consecutive pennants. And so Gant was a big part of that. To me, was a big part of that rise in '90. Of course, Justice was the rookie of the year that year. We had Glavine and Smoltz came over, and so we had a big core building. But Gant was the guy that I kind of gravitated to. He was a big, muscular guy, fast, homer type guy. So ever since then, I wore number 5 in most sports that I play in, softball, basketball, stuff like that. So Gant's really my main PC player. But I have a couple of 5,000 count boxes that are alphabetized with everybody from Biff Pocoroba to Sid Breen to Chris Chambliss. I mean, any Braves player, anybody wearing a Braves uniform, I keep them. So
you like the speedster Sid Breen there, huh?
Oh yeah, Sid slid. I Sid was is a legend here.
Of course, man. I mean,
he signs every couple of years. He comes out and signs at an alumni game, and Francisco Cabrera is just as big of a legend here. But a lot of people forget about him in the rest of the world.
If you could only own one card, what card would it be?
I thought about this because I know you guys asked this, and I had like 4 that I really couldn't. But I think if I had to choose, I'd want a good condition Hank Aaron rookie. I'd love to have that. There's a lot of cards, a lot of rookie cards that I'd love to have. Walter Payton, Jackie Robinson, Mickey Mantle, of course. But I think if I had to pick one, it'd have to be Hank.
What's one that you have right now that you wouldn't give up?
Card that I have right now that I wouldn't give up. It'd have to be. I've got a Jordan autograph from UD back in, I think it was 2012 or so, and that's I was a big Jordan guy, so that's probably one I wouldn't give up as far as. But it's a little more modern, but it is the only Jordan rookie, only Jordan autograph I have. So
you like one more than me.
You like that better than 1990 Donruss Ron Gant. Got it. All right.
Well, the 88 Donruss Ron Gant is the one I like the best. So
we like 90 Donruss around here. There's just so much of it.
I only like 90 Donruss if you throw in some 91 Fleer with it.
90 Donruss is by far and away Tim's absolute favorite set.
Yeah.
I mean, 91 Fleer is one of mine, but that's another.
I wish Fleer was around still, just because all the sets are doing these throwbacks to their previous years, and I know that Fleer would pop some 91 in there for us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And it somehow would be more yellow than it was then.
Yeah,
they had a really good run, and then the 1990 hit, and then they just forgot how to make baseball cards.
Yeah, 90 was plain as you could have ever gotten.
Yeah, 90 looks like they were on some kind of a budget, and we're like, we can only afford white paper this year, guys. Yeah. So, yeah. We're going to get into the week that was last week's releases. Topps Living Week 66. We had card 169, JT Realmuto, the catcher from the Phillies, sold 4 short of 2,800. Card 197, Keston Hira, the second baseman for the Brewers, slightly above 3,200. And 198, Brett Gardner, outfielder, the New York Yankees, just over 2,900. You can check out Topps Living Stat for a full breakdown of where these cards fall, respectively, in the set by team and by position. We also had 2019 Topps Series 2, 18-19 Panini Noir Basketball, 2019 Topps MLB Sticker Collection, and 2019 Sage Autograph Football Box, all dropped last week. Guys, real quick on Topps Living, it's kind of a list, and the numbers prove that way. Did you guys pick up any this last week?
Nope.
Yeah, I grabbed a real Muto, which is funny because I thought because of the picture he might have gotten better numbers because that phenomenal image.
Yeah.
The catcher's mask and the detail on the mask and everything, which is kind of funny. I forget who it was said. It might have been Topps Living Stat on Twitter. Said it's gonna be really hard to get it graded a 10 due to the shading and shadowing and stuff on that. That it might be a tough one. Well,
you can promise PSA 10s, by the way. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Here we go. Here's the photo. Steph pulled it up for us. Good-looking card, though. You're right.
No, it's solid. I mean, not to take away. I mean, the Brett Gardner one was solid, too. I didn't grab one, but
yeah,
just the photo and the definition on his like his jawline and stuff. It was a solid card.
No, it's almost as good as the Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
Hot off the press is the new releases. Topps Living to week 67, card 199. Kristen Stewart, outfielder rookie from the Detroit Tigers. Card number 200, shocker, everybody, is Mike Trout. Outfielder, Los Angeles Angels. And card 201, Martin Prado, third baseman, Miami Marlins. And this week, if you buy the full 3-card pack from Topps for $14.99, they're also going to give you the checklist for 2 checklist cards, 1 through 100, and cards that's going to have 101 through 200. So they have the checklist now. So if you're a completist, they're not selling the checklist individually, only if you buy the 3-card pack. So kind of interesting on that. Thoughts on Trout finally being released. We also had an idea if he wasn't 100 that he would be 200, right?
Or 250, or whenever they can absolutely slot him in. Prior to Trout, does it not look like he's like a 90s movie TV alien? And maybe it's just the art style that makes him look
maybe
off.
It's from Men in Black.
Exactly. It's just something that stood out. But no, I mean, the Trout card looks great. Of course, it's going to sell. I don't know that it pushes it that much further because, one, it's not a rookie. 2, Trout has a market for sure. But I don't see too many people buying them all that much more than, his Series 2 card or his update card.
So real quick, so you have Jackie Robinson comes in at number 9 with 13 a little over 13,000. Do you think he can break 13,000?
Well, and what card number was he?
Jackie was card number 42.
Oh, well, right. Makes sense. I doubt he makes 10.
All right, let's see. All right, here we go. Babe Ruth was card 100, and he did almost 15,000.
Okay, what about 150?
150 was Chris Davis, 2,976.
Wah, wah, Ben.
Yeah.
Or is it the other Chris Davis?
All right,
No.
so
It's 247 Chris Davis.
14 minutes in, and that's already how this is going to be.
I mean, I have a feeling he hits like the most we've had in the second year of this product was Vlad Jr.
He hit 17, right?
27. Unless I have that number wrong. No? Yeah.
I didn't think he hit that quite that high. I thought it was yeah, Trout probably hits the mid-teens. He probably challenges Babe Ruth's number.
Does he get more than Griffey at 8,300?
Oh, yeah. I'd be absolutely floored if he didn't.
All right, does he get more than Tatis, who did 10,099?
I would say yes. I'd put him somewhere around Jackie, around 13.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he breaks into the top 10. I really do. Because, somebody on Twitter was selling, raw ones for $7 and graded 10s, PSA 10s for 25.
Sight unseen.
Yeah, done.
Yeah,
I said, hey, how do you know those are going to get 10s, PSA 10s? And he didn't say anything. And then someone else said, well, it's really easy to get PSA 10. So I'm like, okay. And so I just put up a pair of scissors and the little emoji with the sunglasses. And
these cards haven't been printed yet, but yet you're pre-selling graded 10s. And that's ballsy, man. That's cool.
It's like hot packs. I got some hot packs here for you guys. Guaranteed Ohtani autos.
Sure you do.
Yeah. And I also have some seashore that I can sell you in New Mexico. So if you want some of that.
I think Trout does well because obviously we all think of him as the modern Mantle, a guy who probably as of right now will not have a card in Topps Living. I think you're going to get a lot of people speculating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll go out on a limb and say that Stewart and Prado don't break 2750.
Oh,
that's about right.
Well, but
you know what?
Here's the thing, though, with the checklist being incled.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wonder how many, because what is the secondary market on a stupid checklist going to be?
Yeah, right.
If the only people that are going to get them are the ones that we're buying Twins Jake and Bowling Freak and Tops Now West Coast.
When
and all these
Jake's
people,
out again, he said he's done.
Yeah, but
saw
if he ends up buying just this week, because I can almost guarantee that checklist is going to be worth something someday.
Right?
You have to have it if you ever decide to complete the set.
Now I have FOMO. Thanks, man.
I honestly, you know what? I didn't realize that the checklist was included because I might have bought all three, even though I don't have any desire at the other two whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm really about thinking about hopping on buying the whole pack now. All right. Well, thanks, Ben. We also have 2019 Topps Museum Collection dropping today. It's about $195 a box, 4 packs per box, 5 cards per pack. You're going to get 1 guaranteed on a card auto, 1 autograph relic, 1 prime relic, 1 quad, and 4 parallels. 1 quad relic, and 4 parallels. There's also case hits. So each case is guaranteed 1 autograph jumbo relic and 1 framed on card autograph. It's a 100-card base set. It's a great mix of vets, rookies, and retired stars. Some of the key rookies in here: Pete Alonso, Fernando Tatis, Eloy Jimenez, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. have rookie cards in this. There are, I think, 8 total rookies. Of course, DJ Stewart's in there because he's in everything. On-card autographs for signatures that don't have MIM. So if it has MIM, it's going to be a sticker. Be on the lookout for the one-of-one cards they have in here, which are the museum memorabilia, which are the MLB silhouette batter patch logos, and museum memorabilia laundry tags. And then they're also going to have the jumbo lumber bat plate name relics, which are pretty cool. So you have a thicker start card here, higher, not a higher end, but it's a pretty. It's getting there. It's ramping you up into the higher end product this year. Some nice looking stock on the cards. Have you guys seen any of it today?
Yeah, I've already grabbed the Canvas McGuire and a couple of base. I'm a sucker for museum. Every year I say, man, I'm not going to get involved. And then every year I end up buying 10 or 12 relics and autos and all the archival signatures and stuff. It's a solid product. Decent price point.
No, they have they have those the portrait cards, and some years they've been bad. Canvas cards, yeah. Some years they've been bad. This year they look pretty good.
Well, they commission multiple artists, so not all of the canvas cards year in year out are from the same person. Unlike say Topps Living, so some artists, like anything, are better than others.
Yeah, so not too bad. The other thing, too, is I noticed when I was watching some breaks today is that if you got a canvas card, usually the auto is behind it, or an autograph is behind it. So just a heads up on that. Also, too, I wouldn't buy any unsealed boxes that were the loose mini boxes because obviously if you have somebody that's weighing them, you're going to know the metal card is or the frame card is going to be in there. So, and then when there was reports of people pulling three framed cards out of one case. So this real quick, Steph pulled this one up. This is something Topps tweeted out. You got a dual relic booklet card of Griffey on the left and Trout on the right. Now the Griffey is half of the Seattle Mariners logo from the arm, from the shoulder patch. I mean, it's great detail. And then the other for Trout, it looks like a part of a wristband. Or part of the that goes right, the arm right above the into the sleeve, and it's 2-color, and it looks like pretty just generic patch. Versus the Griffey is a full, thick, stitched patch. So I don't know. Did you guys see that? I thought it was kind of lackluster. I mean, it's a cool card, but got to be better if that Trout patch was a little nicer, right?
Yeah, it seems like Topps is. Approval process, hey, it's Ken Griffey, one of the most famous people in the card hobby, and easily in the past 2-3 decades. Hey, let's pull a great patch. Mike Trout, whatever, I guess.
Yeah,
I think if you're going to get a premium relic, you need to get it on both. So, I mean, it's.
Oh, exactly.
No, so yeah, that's our one release this week, fellas. Kind of a light week. Let's go into what's brewing next week's releases. So there's a bunch next week. We actually have 6. So 2019 Topps Stadium Club, yes, comes out.
Please.
We have listed that checklist on our site there, so check that out. 2018-19 Panini, or I'm sorry, Upper Deck Premier Hockey, 2019 Upper Deck Goodwin Champions, 2019 Panini Donruss Elite Football, 2000. I think this is getting pushed back though. 2019 Leaf Metal All American Football, then 18-19 Panini Chronicles Basketball all drops next week. Stadium Club's going to be cool. It's some of my favorite photos going back. I remember in '91 and that smell, and the Kodak logo was on there, so you knew, oh man, this is good stuff. Kodak was involved. So, and you buy them now, and you buy those '91 boxes now, and the cards are all stuck together. They look like old pancakes.
The old UV coating did not age well.
No, not at all. We're going to hop into Infield Chatter Hobby Talk. So we got a bunch going on here this week. We're going to have some hobby history and some happenings in the hobby. But first, there was a tweet out by PSA about Secure Scan. So this is from the release. Introducing Secure Scan. This is a free news service, provides collectors with high-quality images to use on the PSA set registry as well as for their records. To provide better security for its growing customer base, PSA has added a cost-free Secure Scan service. The new imaging feature, which launched on the company's website on May 10th, 2019, involves taking front and back scans of PSA encapsulated items with high-resolution scanners and making those images available on the PSA website. This is a significant step to help collectors with security measures as well as marketing opportunities for their collectibles, said PSA President Steve Sloan. People now can view images of the intact items we authenticate, graded, and encapsulated right here, right on our cert verification page. This is extremely useful for those collectors looking to verify the details of an item, including its certification number, before they purchase it. So, if this has been around for over a month, and basically since this supposed thing, the Secure Scan imaging thing launched, we've had all of these trimming issues and everything. I don't know why they didn't make this more aware of it then, and they sat on it for a little while. It's on there. I just think, I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's a nice idea. It probably would have been nice to know about when it initially came up. I just pulled up the one that they had in their blog here. So you click it, you can actually see the wear and tear on the card itself, which is nice, but there's no real tie-in to just that card. It's to the slab. Mm-hmm. And the slab's nice, but there's, with the current scandal going on, there's no way to tell whether this card hasn't been popped out and resubmitted.
Yeah.
It's a nice first step, and it's nice to see, but I don't know how far, whether it's enough.
We haven't had, we've been talking about this quite a bit, but what are your thoughts on all the stuff going on with the trimming accusations and the shill bidding and the black label stuff? What are your thoughts? We have, you're on here, so we're gonna have to have a fresh perspective on this.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I personally am not a huge graded card guy. I've only gotten a handful graded in the past. I've bought some graded, some older cards, and not necessarily for condition, but for it to be either slabbed or for authenticity, which has come into question as well. Didn't know anything about this whitewashing or whatever they're doing now, where they're preserving the cards. I think part of the allure of vintage cards is for me at least is the weird condition that some of them can be in, that you see what they've kind of been through. I don't know how, like the safe scan, I'm not sure that this changes anything. Like Steph says, we're having problems with cards that are serial numbered getting cracked and resubmitted. and those can be traced because I mean they're exact serial number 10 of 20 or whatever. I think that it's the process. I wish we knew the process more. From beginning to end, it seems like such a closed off process that we don't know what happens when it happens and all that stuff. And not that we have to have, a seat in the back room, but I'd like a little more transparency, I guess. And I'd like that with companies in general, with the sports car companies. But, it's subjective. It's I can look at a card. You can look at a card. I don't know what makes a person a certified grader. I have looked at cards, the ones that I've sent off, and I've seen nothing wrong with them. They come back as an 8, and I've sent a card off that I thought the edge was kind of scuffed up, and it was a 9.5. And I don't know, how much grading is, but I don't want to use the word short staff, but the demand right now versus the people that are providing grades. I don't know that's really spread out like it should be. I don't have like a real answer to what would fix things because, like I say, I'm not a huge graded card guy, but it's very disconcerting to know that there could be, auction companies or big companies on eBay that are getting, preferential treatment if that's the case, because of the number that they're submitting versus, Joe Collector that obviously is not going to submit, 1,000 card submission at a time. So, I get it. I mean, unfortunately, that's the way the world works. Your best customers get your best service usually. But I think this is one of those cases where it should be independent of who sends in the cards. The grade should be its own thing.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think that with all this going on, if I was one of these companies, I'd pull back the curtain and have everybody and go, look, this is what we're doing. This is how we do it. Okay, you think we're not doing it correctly. I'm going to show you that we are because I believe in my company and what we're doing. And the fact that nobody's really come out, and maybe their lawyers are telling them not to, but that they haven't stepped up and said, I believe in what we're doing. I believe in our philosophy. That tells me that they don't. And that there's something flawed in it that they're not proud of, and they don't want to be brought to light. So it's just very interesting to me. So it's out there. You guys check it out and see. Look up your cards and see and make sure that they're if you have PSA graded ones, check them out. We have some updates on 2019 Top Series 2. So the Vlad Guerrero short print or no numbers. Well, I'm going to call it the no number.
Right.
Yeah, no number here. So this is what he looks like, and there's no number on the back. It's usually up here in the corner. It's said to be a short print, but truly, how short is it? Ryan Cracknell, our boy at Crater Tracks, Beckett Superman, right? He said that he put out an article this week. The card maker isn't revealing much beyond the fact that it's a short print, which he states is a broad term that can range anywhere from a little bit tough to near impossible. With some basic observations, we can start to figure out which end of the spectrum the Guerrero card is on, and it's definitely not near impossible. And that's the top. And to top it off, more than 400 have already sold just on the website in the same time period. So basically on eBay this week. So according some breaking 2019 Top Series 2 in quantity, hobby and jumbo boxes are your best bets.
Angela.
To finding the Guerrero card. So it looks like there's 4 or 5 landing in every 12 box hobby case. Jumbo, they're following about every 4 or 5 in a case. So retail seems to be a little bit tougher, but not much. And also check this out. So 2019 Topps factory sets will have a Guerrero Junior variation, different from the card found in packs. It will have a different image on front, and the factory set version will also have a have a card number on the back. It will be number 700. And the pack inserted card, as I showed, doesn't have a number. So I don't know if you guys opened any of this or what your thoughts are about the Guerrero. I mean, we had this last year with Acuna and Torres. They both had the short print in Series 1, which were they think one of them was available in a case. So every other case, you're going to get at least one of them. And then they had one in update, and they also had a variation in the factory sets that come out in July.
Did you see that Brent pre-sold, I believe, 5 of these for around $100 a pop to a guy that he sells to a lot, and he had tweeted out that he was going to have to go back to him and work out a deal because these short prints are much more common than $100 each. And so he felt bad. So, we commend Brent for doing something like that. But it's always tough when something like this is super, short print or super short print, because we just don't know how many there are out there. We talked about the rainbows from Series 1 where, they were approximately 1,000 each on the, if you just base it off pack odds, yet they were far less popular than, say, the golds, which are, out of 2019. So it would be nice to know at least a little bit closer to how many of these are, as opposed to just letting the market kind of determine, the availability.
Well, I've opened 9 jumbos and I have 7 Vlads. So, I think in the case, at the 6-box case, I pulled 5. Yeah.
My LCS pulled 4 out of a case. I mean, based on my Twitter feed, the amount that are being pulled, I'm not sure this is very short printed.
Which is good, and I'm fine with it not being short printed. I'm so happy. Like, that's the thing, is that I was a little pissed. I was a little pissed when they short printed him and they kind of scooted him in. And I think this is a better way to do it, where it's got a little bit. You're not guaranteed to get one out of every box like you are basically when you open a jumbo box. You almost are guaranteed to get a full set of that series in the jumbo box. So the fact is that it could be a short print hit. Like some of the other short prints, like the vet short prints they had in there that, you get a couple of box. I think that's pretty great. So
it would seem, and now that I have it set to the right mic, sorry guys, I've been muting and unmuting my Blue Yeti all night, and I guess it was set to the headphones that I plugged into the mic.
That's okay. We've heard you dying and yelling at your wife.
Yeah, but
we pulled that, guys.
You okay?
No, bad case of pneumonia. I'm sorry. But it seems like this would be a case wherein it's almost like opening day, where at least if you buy the retail box, there's a short print every other box, not necessarily each box, or every third box, what have you, depending on the year. Now, mind you, you're buying a jumbo box, so it's slightly different, but it seems like that's the rarity. Every third box, every fourth box. If they're going to produce, 10, 20, 30,000 jumbo cases, boxes, you're looking at, maybe 10,000 copies of this versus, 50, 60, 80, 100,000 of each card.
Yeah, so it has a little bit of flexibility to it, but it's not like what everybody thought it was going to be.
Right.
And I'm all right with it. Like, as long as they come out and it's not to the point where it's like the Bryce Harper Topps archive rookie card that's like impossible to find.
Right.
Or Series 2 that he had, what's card 661 that's,
the factory set versus the regular versus the whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't like the process of short prints in the first place. And this is odd coming from someone who loves errors and variations from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But it's the lack of transparency in when they produce it. Hey, first of all, we don't even tell you that there is them until you figure it out on your own. Congrats. 2, they're not giving us an estimate even of how many are released. you can kind of do the math. 1 every 4 cases, the case odds are this, so that you can kind of tell that okay, there was this many produced. But isn't that something a producer could release, or the manufacturer or someone? It just seems kind of very behind the veil, and
if I may,
it's frustrating.
I want to ask a question of Steph, and this is on topic of short print, but off topic from Top Series 2, and it's way off topic. But elites from 91, 92, 93, what was your understanding of how were they falling? I've always heard it was about 1 in every 3 cases or so, like 60 or 70 boxes. What do you think those fall at?
I've heard everywhere from 1 to 3, 1 to 10. I've opened personally myself from a fresh case 1 box and pulled the elite. And you can do the math there too, because if I'm not mistaken, the first year, aren't they numbered?
10. Yeah, they're numbered at 10,000.
10,000, right?
And there's 10 of them. I believe there's 10 players, yeah.
Yeah, that 10, 15, something to that effect. It would make sense that would be about right, based on how many were being produced. I mean, you're 91 tops. It was rumored that there was 4 million produced for each individual card. So we know the presses were up and running.
Yeah, let 10,000 sink in as a short print, guys.
Right. As the case hit, no less.
Yeah, or every 3 case hit.
That's crazy. I think we actually truly have a short print that wasn't meant to be. So Brent Williams, he sent on the tweet this week, has anyone seen a Top Series 2 foil number 686 Brandon Drury? I made 5 sets and 90 cases, yet not one 686. I looked on eBay and none on eBay or sold. Could it be a production or packet error? We see a run of them eventually, but very strange. Reminds me of the missing cards of the past. And then at way too many cards tweeted out, not in retail either. 20 hanger cases and 10 blasters. Should have seen 1. And at Team Sets and Sin 1, I think Team Sets and Singles is their name there. 60 jumbo cases and not a Brandon Drury found.
60 jumbo cases?
So 60 jumbo cases from one guy, 90 from another. So 150 jumbo cases and not one Brandon Drury foil.
So would this be a case like a couple years back with the Topps Holiday, where there was a Ranger in particular that just couldn't be found in the parallel set?
Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels, yeah.
He was available.
But
it was uber short printed, yeah, and he would sell for $70, $80 a pop.
Yeah. So,
but I'm sure this is just a case of they didn't make it,
right?
Yeah, for whatever reason. I mean,
they forgot.
Our friend Chris, who collects Ramon Laureanos, came to me the other day, and he's like, "Dude, I got all these prisms, and I'm missing a couple of colors I haven't even seen." And he always jokes about they're sitting on a dock somewhere, and I don't think this is the case where there's a ton of jumbo boxes sitting on Topps's doorstep, waiting for UPS to send it to the distributers, and lo and behold,
they're in the closet with the wood minis,
yeah, because Brandon Drury is a hot prospect that someday are going to be worth a mint.
Could be a Nick Markakis Topps living situation.
There it is, man. Yeah, it's I just don't think they got made until we start to see one.
Yeah, I'm looking now and not seeing anything. It also reminds me too of we talked about those wood minis, but did you hear was it Leaf that lost a bunch of Joey Bart autographs and they got lost in shipping?
Oh dear.
And so he's not going to be in a product because of that. Oh, he sent all the cards back in, and then they got lost. And real quick,
so
it brings me back to my it was cards. He signed the cards. I put out yesterday a tweet, who's a better Joey Bart or Joey Dub? And 32 votes in, Joey Dub wins 56% to 44. Congratulations. You're the better Joey, but some people wanted the Joey and they showed a mini kangaroo. So
there should have been another option.
Yes. But congratulations there. Joey Votto was not included as well, and he's Canadian, so everybody's got to love Canadians. And then, too, your Beckett debut. I actually was at the LCS today. They sold out of the Becketts. So I was not able to buy one. I had to buy one direct and get it. Yeah, they heard you were in there, and it sold quick.
They're hot.
Yes.
I just actually picked mine up. I didn't pick it up. I had to order it.
They didn't send you one?
No. I got it yesterday, actually, or 2 days ago in the mail. I ordered it the day that it released. My shop has ordered them, and because he didn't get this. This is the Beckett Sports Card Monthly. This is not the Beckett Baseball. And he doesn't actually. He has baseball, football, and basketball, and he doesn't get the Sports Card Monthly. So he's had to order some, and they hadn't got there yet. He said he should have them by this weekend. So.
Yeah,
short print magazines as well.
There we go. And
So
I do.
They didn't send you any printing plates or no advanced copies to have signed.
No, I do have an alternate uniform one.
Topless. You know what? Now people are naming off Joey's in here: Joey Galloway, Joey Gallo, Joey Votto, Joey Gathright. I like the Joey Gathright. And by the way, we're horns down tonight, right?
Joey Bell.
I saw Nate Gunderson was in here. And the man is a huge Longhorn fan, yet has a smoker named Oklahoma Joe.
Oh, yeah.
So
obviously
he's a Sooner fan at heart because that's where he cooks his meat. So, just put that out there. But no, so I was talking to the owner of my LCS, and he buys directly from Topps, and he works with all the big distributors. And he was telling me today is that, he was getting he got a bunch of Topps jumbo boxes on pre-order. And what they were paying for, and at a pretty good price. And then the week of the release, he ordered some more, and he was paying maybe about $10 more a box than the pre-sale price, which not bad, right? And then he reached out again because he wanted some more because he was selling it. He's like, "This is the best Series 2 I've had in a decade." He said, "I haven't had Series 2 sell like this in as long as I can remember." And he went back to buy some more. And they were $120. This is from the distributor, and he was selling boxes less than that on release day. I think he was like 105 or 110 release day, and he was like, this is about 50% increase on what I paid for them when they released and are pre-ordered. And he's like, "I'm done." He goes, "As soon as I'm sold out here and in my other store, as soon as we're sold out, we're done. I'm not going to order anymore. Usually I'll put a second, even a third order in." He's like, "I'm not." He said, "There's no room for it to go." And he goes, I don't want to charge my customer, $140 because you got to pay, shipping or tax or any of that stuff. He has to pay on top of the box price. I don't want to pass along to my customer, have him pay $150 for a jumbo. And, he goes, that's not what jumbo is.
No, and even at 150, his internal rate of return has got to be razor thin. If he's at 120 by the time, you cover all your fees and everything, he's netting $10-15 maybe?
Yeah. And he always tells me he sells the hobby box sometimes at a loss at a couple of bucks because he has to buy so much hobby to get X number of jumbo when he pre-orders. And he's okay doing that because he knows it'll sell, brings customers in, that kind of thing. But he said on the jumbo, he goes, I just can't. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't want to do that to my customer. And it's sad because if that, I'm glad that we had so many rookies in Series 2. You had Tatis, you had Alonso and Jimenez all in there, plus the Vlad short print kind of in there. So no update. It's going to kind of lighten some of those guys for update. But at the same point in time, God, what's that going to be? I saw Blowout was pre-selling jumbo boxer for like $130.
Austin Riley will be an update.
Yeah. And this is the set for everybody, and it's getting to that point where now it's replaced what Bowman was, because a Bowman jumbo was $150, and those are now $300 to $400, $500, depending on where you go and when you buy them. And it's disheartening a little bit to me because if you can't afford, and you're spending $70 or $80 on a hobby box when it's normally 50 to $65 there, it just
you know how when they talk about socioeconomics, they say that the traditional middle class is no longer, it's kind of been phased out. You're either upper lower class or you're upper class. There's no more middle. That's what's really starting to happen in this hobby, especially over the last, really with all the 2019 releases, but even at the tail end of 2018, is the middle tier collector is gone, or starting to disappear one by one. You either have the money and you can afford. I mean, who can drop $140 on a box week after week after week? 4 times a month. I mean, that's 2 car payments for some budgets. That makes it really, really tough.
It's my Starbucks budget a week.
I'm saying,
and that's you can either buy opening day or big league, or you've got to spend $140.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the thing is I mean, I bought, that was my first case, and I went through him and I was able to get a really good price, but I asked him like 3 months ago, hey, I want to get a case of Series 2. What's it going to cost me? He goes, hey, here's the price. I'll set one aside for you. And it helps that I'm a really good customer of his, but mainly the only boxes I buy anymore, Series 1, Series 2, Update, and I'll mix in occasional Stadium Club, Archives. I finally bought Big League this year for the first time with not singles, but I actually bought a couple boxes. But that's really it. Anymore it's not worth buying boxes to me. I love opening packs and boxes, but anymore it's like,
Dub, you said you could buy opening day or Big League, right? If you do the math on a box of Big League, you're not coming close to a complete set. You're going to need at least 2 boxes. And if they're $45 a piece, you're still at $100 bill on the hopes that when you open both boxes, you can complete a set. You might still need to dip into the secondary market, depending on the coalition. And that's what makes it tough, is this hobby is really phasing out people that are on extreme budgets. I mean, sticker collection came out this week, for what that's worth. It's or last week. And they revamped the checklist on that. I wrote up a review today for our website, and it's like old school 80s stickers, where you have multiple players on a card front and back, and it's just one by one. I mean, you're either in the opening day in the sticker collection shallow end of the kiddie pool, or you actually have to factor this into your monthly budget as if it were a bill. And then by doing so, it's no longer a hobby.
And you mentioned earlier the margin for the LCS on those boxes. I mean, I've learned going as often as I go to the shop. If you don't get a box on that first wave, then you're better off going to the secondary market to get your boxes. And I know that's crushing the LCSs, but I mean, I watched, especially football last year, I watched prices every time I went in go up $15 because he ran out and had to order some more. And then by the end of the football season, you were paying $325 for a box of contenders.
Right.
And I mean, you can buy it. That's getting into, national treasures territory.
And at that time, just go buy the one you want to pull.
Right.
You want the Baker Mayfield, I'll go buy it. That way you're going to get it. You might not get the rest of the stuff in the box, but at least you got what you were looking for or hoping to get. And I think that it's just it's a bigger conversation I think we need to kind of keep our eyes on and have at some point throughout this year, because, you go to the National and you see these ridiculous prices, and that's awesome because they know there's collectors there and they're going to be able to sell and move that product, because some products just sit around. But for some of the, when it first comes out, man, it's, you either get it like that, like you said, the first couple of days. You have to wait like a year until it's been sitting on the shelf, and they're trying to move it just to clean out some space.
And a secondary question to that or discussion that you guys can have another time, but we talked about the production in the early 90s,
Sure.
And we've seen the last couple of years. I know that Ryan's shared some stuff about the Bowman Mega stuff. And are the companies going to respond by printing more? Or are they going to, capitalize on the market that likes rarer collectibles and keep the print runs within some reasonable, or every year we're going to just start pumping more and more tops until until we got 1 million of each card, and we're bordering on 1988 again.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're getting there because if you look, remember, like I think it's really obvious this year that you used to get 1 gold parallel per jumbo pack because they had 2018 of them last year, right? And this year's 2019. Now they're not in every jumbo pack. So they're like, I think you're going to get like 3 or 4 a box instead of 6. So right there just tells you how much more there's out there because they can't fake that number. You know, so if that guarantees them, so then the pack odds go up, and so that there's more product of this being made.
Which is fine in a vacuum, but as we've mentioned before, when you have 37 releases a year, then, to Joey's point, you have 1 million cards per player per release times 37. And then is this not just the junk wax era all over again at a much higher price point?
No, but it's different though, because a lot of those releases, if you look at those 37 releases, I would say probably at least half those checklists are anywhere from 100 to 150 base cards, if they have base cards at all.
It's usually 50 rookies.
But then you factor in all of the parallels. I mean, like when a guy signs for Bowman, he's got all the base, autographs, and then he's got the refractors at a $4.99. You start doing the math before you know it, just on the numbered parallels alone, he's well over 1,000 per guy. And then when you factor in all the non-numbered ones, I mean, it really is oversaturation.
Yeah, like you got to take it out. If you look at like Bowman, you look at Flagship, say opening day, big league, compared to like Museum, High Tech, any of the other definitive, all those other releases that are counted in those 27, a lot of them aren't going to have as many base cards and or parallels because they're hit-based product. So it's a little different where it's not all like it was back in the 80s and 90s where it was just base cards. There were nothing special in them. They only had 1, maybe 2 releases, right? Because when they didn't have series 1 and 2 until 93 in Topps. And Donruss was 91. They'd started doing 2 releases, so it's a little different, but it's very much on the edge of, hey, this could happen, and it scares me.
We're way into this already. We just are being either naive or looking at it through rose-colored glasses. We're going to reflect upon this era 10 years from now, if we're even out of this era by then, and go, man, what were they thinking? But
it's all going to happen when there's a player stoppage, the work stoppage coming up. So, yeah, I want to move on because that's just a topic that we could spend hours on, I think, and so we'll revisit that going forward. It's going to be an ongoing topic. So we didn't talk about this last week because really I didn't see any promotions for it. It was Panini Father's Day. They had the promotion packs. They've had it for a few years. It's a multi-sport when you go into to an LCS. It's got football, baseball, basketball, racing, and soccer. Also, it's going to be college and pro. It's a 79 card base set, which there's still, I don't believe, a checklist available. So, they don't know what's in there. But it's up to participating stores or LCS to show to how they use the promo packs as they see fit. It's usually based on buying specific boxes or packs. And so, real quick, did you guys see? Because I went back through and I looked, and we usually keep a pretty good little list going of what's coming up, and I didn't see it on any of our mentions. Went back through, and I really didn't see it through my timeline. Anybody talking about it last week, or even on Father's Day or last weekend. And then there's also on top of that no checklist, so you don't even know if you need to go find if there's a guy you want in there.
No, and kudos to Ryan Cracknell for putting together a Frankenstein checklist for us. He kind of was putting it together and admitted that it's incomplete, and I'm just doing the best I can for the time being. But yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, we should have known that they were going to have one because they've done it, every year over the last few years. But yeah, okay, it's been out now for a few days at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
Let us know what we're looking for. Especially when it's a cross sport, it's got all the sports included, and at least in years past it has. So it's bringing all the different consumer markets all at once. And it'd be really nice to know. I mean, I know personally there's a Ricky Henderson because I stumbled upon it looking for something else. But it'd be nice to know what you're after.
Yeah. Yeah. It brought up to another discussion though is to us, why isn't there a Mother's Day promotion? And before we dive into this, I understand the question, but personally, I think in most cases, if you look back in collecting, it's a male dominated hobby. I would say, you're looking at like 98% of the collectors are male. And there are some amazing female collectors out there, and we've run into them and seen them. And, Yank's Chicken and Sue's is probably one of the more well-known ones, I would say, that's in the hobby, at least on Twitter. But a lot of people start collecting because of a relationship with their dad or an uncle or a grandpa. That's kind of who got them in collecting. You don't have as many stories as moms, and I guarantee there's moms out there that have done that. But the market, it just isn't there, and it's kind of, not. And unfortunately, it's everything in the world can't be equal and fair, right? It's just not that way. But do you guys believe that there needs to be a Mother's Day promotion?
Let me say this, just from a shop perspective. I know that there's several shops that are closed. I mean, there was one locally that's closed on Mother's Day and not closed on Father's Day. And the shop owner says, these guys don't need to be in the shop on Mother's Day. They need to be at home with their mom or their wife or whoever. And, that's right or wrong, but that's, I agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of great female collectors, and I hope the hobby continues to grow in that market. But I'm sure that these companies do their target marketing, exercises and kind of, everything they do is calculated. They're not presenting a Father's Day promotion without some marketing research to back it up. And I guess they just have not determined at this point that a Mother's Day promotion is necessary. I mean, they do include some Mother's Day insert sets and things like that, so it's not an exclusion of the hobby. But I would be fine with it, honestly. I mean, I'd be totally fine with it. But I'm like you guys. I didn't even know there was a Father's Day promotion going on this year. I didn't see any promotion of it on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. So,
well, and exactly, mind you, I was out of state and I was rather preoccupied that week. But I saw Ryan's tweet, and it got me thinking. I hadn't seen any promotion either, not from Panini, not from the blog, not from. I actually had to actively go out and search for something just to see what players are there. And Ryan's list is by no means complete. There's something like 6, 7, 8 players missing off just the base set list. As far as a Mother's Day collection, everyone jokes, well, I used to have a really great collection, but my mom threw them out or donated them or had them at a not garbage sale, garage sale. Yes, close. Thank you. Garage sale. And, so some of us, that's how we actually got our collection started. Hey, if you help me out around the house, I'll give you whatever that you can use for whatever. It would make a great promotion. I don't understand why they don't have it yet if they're going to have Father's Day and Black Friday and all of these other celebrations throughout the year. But I don't know how well outside of the parallels that it would go.
But it's all a marketing thing. I agree. I think it's one of those where it's not worth the time and the effort and the money to market behind that. And that's what it comes down to.
And let alone, I'd hate to see how some store owners would take it as I guess we have Mother's Day cards. I hope you don't get the pink one. Just the attitudes that we don't need in the hobby.
It's that old, but that's also to the LCS. It's not on Twitter. It's right. not active online. That doesn't that has the old 80s singles for $5 or $6, like that place Ben that we were in Modesto.
Right.
That could have been an amazing shop that had tons of Topps football sets I needed, but they were priced at $60 to $100 for a factory set. And I'm looking online and they're like $25, but the shipping kills you. and I get that selling stuff. And I'd love to go down there and buy some factory sets, but not for $50 or $80 for a 2000 Topps factory set. So
one last thing on the Mother's Day is, they have included the Mother's Day parallels. So they've started kind of working towards, even with the breast cancer logo on some of these. But the issue is it's more of a societal thing. And you see the memes that pop up around Father's Day. Oh, for Mother's Day, you get the flowers and you get the nice restaurant. For Dad's Day, you get the khaki cargo pants and the go out and barbecue. I have to barbecue for myself on Father's Day. It's all the gender stereotypes and whatnot. And yeah, for Father's Day, hey, buy me a box of cards. It's our hobby. I think that if we were going to do a Mother's Day one, if a company was going to put any serious money behind that, they would have to build it up over time, doing subsets, insert sets of sorts throughout the year, and build it up over the next couple of years until they could really put enough money behind a Mother's Day promo to where it's not just us guys on Mother's Day walking in there trying to get this set because it's
the big fat sweaties that are ditching their mom to go get some insert packs.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be another. I mean, honestly, you put a Mother's Day set out and it's got some cards in there I want. I'm going to go grab them from my collection. Yeah. It's just another checklist as opposed to being the sincere gesture of the hobby, honoring and admiring the female side of collectors, because there are a lot out there. Absolutely. Even though they make up a smaller segment, percentage wise.
But also be looking at pandering to them too, so you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be taken the wrong way, and it's an interesting observation. But at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to be seeing it.
And again, it doesn't. There's not a Grandparents' Day, Black Friday giveaway, or a day after Christmas giveaway, or Veterans Day giveaway, or any of that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. I want to move on. 2019 NBA Draft is tomorrow night. I'm excited. The top 5 picks: New Orleans is 1, Memphis 2, New York's the Knicks are picking 3. They'll probably mess it up. New Orleans is picking 4 from the Lakers, and Cleveland's at 5. The AD trade I think was really good for Memphis, but again, I've said this in the past, or for New Orleans, Memphis and New Orleans will be the new Seattle and the Kansas City team within the next 5 years. Both those franchises, picking 1 and 2, will be in different cities, and I think New Orleans has a good chance to build a young core. So the top prospects we're going to see tomorrow night: Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, R.J. Barrett, and Darius Garland. Are 5 of the names, 4 of the names floating around. It's not a super deep class as far as guys that we know. It's Zion and then everybody else. I don't know if you saw the photo that got tweeted out of Zion and another prospect being interviewed. And I don't remember the other guy's. I'm saying his name was Goran, and he's sitting by himself at this podium, and there's a mass of reporters to his right interviewing Zion, and this poor kid is sitting there by himself, and no one is there to talk to him. And the NBA has him there, so obviously he's projected to be a first-round pick if he's at this event with all the other, the big names, and he's just sitting there by himself, and no one wants to talk to him because they're all over here talking to Zion. 1, my heart goes out to him because that's got to be a bad feeling. 2, you got to kind of know that okay, it's Zion, but can Zion carry this class? Is he that good of a player to carry his class on his own this year?
Well, the question, one of the questions is Zion guaranteed to sign if he's drafted? I mean, that's been thrown around whether or not he will play. But I mean, I think it's a 95% chance he does. But Zion, I think, is one of those. I hate to use the word generational talents, but I think he's one of those guys that will certainly, from a hobby perspective, he's going to carry basketball sets like we have not seen in a few years. He's going to be more sought after than Ben Simmons was a few years ago, I think.
But to me, does he seem like a poor? To me, he seems like a poor man's Charles Barkley, almost like Larry Johnson.
I
don't know, because he's that 6'6" tweener that has to play a power forward because he's a thicker dude.
Yeah, but it's a smaller league now. It's no longer. I mean, guys like David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon, the big tall trees of the '90s, they would be lost in a lot of today's game. I mean, guys like Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum can coexist in a backcourt where 20 years ago, they're literally the same player, or have similarities. And guys like Zion, I mean, you here in Sacramento, right? Corliss Williamson got drafted, and he was great at Arkansas, but he was just kind of that tweener guy. He was not quick enough to play small forward, and he's going to get beat off the dribble a lot. And he's too small to pound down in the, underneath the rim, because I think he was like 6'7".
Yeah.
And Zion obviously is not Corliss Williamson, but the height wise, the size wise is similar in that sense. And yeah, Zion is probably going to be that next wave of talent, assuming that, of course, like anything, he stays healthy and keeps his head on right and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, this guy is an exceptional talent at the very least. Whether he's generational, we don't know yet. But at the very least, he's definitely worthy of the number 1 pick, and he's going to be exciting to watch for a few years.
They got to keep him away from LeVar Ball now that Lonzo is in town in New Orleans.
Yeah.
No, you got New Orleans went from having no depth and no future, really. If you look at that team to, with the guys they picked up from the Lakers and all those draft picks, they actually have somewhat of a bright future if they can kind of keep it together and make the right, and these guys can play together. That's the big part. You look back, remember the Mavs of the early 90s when they had, you had Kidd, Mashburn, and Jim Jackson. I mean, God, those are 3 good players, but they couldn't play together. They couldn't figure it out. Well, and I just, last year's draft, I mean, we had, you had Ayton go 1, Bagley go 2, and then you had Luka 3, and then you had, Jaren Jackson, and then you had Trae Young, and, Jackson, and Bagley, they just, they had a pretty good season. Bagley came on late. Everybody's always collected the number 1 pick, but, Luka and Young really kind of carried the draft classes. So you had 5 guys, though, right off the bat. To carry a draft class. This you're looking at maybe 3, maybe 4, and then a whole bunch of unknowns. And it's just one of those things that I'm telling you, after the draft ends tomorrow, and that first Panini product drops, no one's going to remember the name Luka or Lulu Doncic at all. And we're going to move on to it's all Zion. It's Zion's world, and I just it's funny to me, but. Dub, you're picking 6, right? The Hawks.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you,
just missing out a little bit on those top guys.
I'm like you. I mean, after the top 3, I mean, I don't really know who we're going to target, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think we've got a great young nucleus. I mean, we've got Trae and John Collins, but I don't know anybody outside of the top 3 or 4.
Usually people are able to talk about those guys. You're usually I'm usually able to talk at least about the top 6 or 7. I'm like, I have no idea.
That number 4 spot is going to be phenomenal to watch tomorrow night, because now that came over to New Orleans as part of the Davis trade, see what they do. There's talks of them trading down for the 8 and the 10 pick.
But it's not official.
Well, yeah, it won't be official until July 6th. So
but my thing is like, that's what I hate about the NBA. That's why the NFL draft is so good, because when you make a trade, the trade happens. So right now, the Lakers are picking 4.
Right, the Lakers are officially making the pick.
I understand, but if the Pelicans would have moved that pick, and then they have to say, well, this team's going to do this. But what happens if the other team goes, they go, hey, we're going to make this big trade, and the Pelicans tell the Lakers, hey, this is going to Houston because we're getting James Harden, and then the guy goes and blows out his knee before July 6th. And they go, oh wait, sorry, the trade wasn't official. Your trade wasn't official, therefore our trade's not official. We're going to walk away. You enjoy the broken player and have a good time, Lakers, and we're going to keep Anthony Davis.
Technically, they could do that. But if a team backed out of a trade of that magnitude, I mean, yeah, there's also a lot of talk about when this Davis trade becomes official, because the longer it waits into July to become official, the more cap space the Lakers could potentially recoup.
Yeah, so we're getting a thing.
It's complicated. It'll be interesting at number 4, especially for the hobby, because whoever that number 4 pick is may or may not be a Pelican.
Yeah,
it might be moved for a veteran player, and a lot of this comes down to where these guys. I mean, Zion in New York versus Zion in New Orleans,
Way different.
hobby-wise, I mean, there's a reason that, I'm a Spurs fan. I get why Kawhi Leonard decided he didn't want to play in San Antonio anymore.
But he ended up in Toronto.
But he's going to end up in LA this year with a ring. I mean, I understand it from a marketing standpoint, but then again, Kawhi's also got to kind of look in the mirror and go, you're not LeBron James. You're not the most marketable dude.
Yeah, he doesn't talk to anybody. Real quick, Dub, I have a question for you. So last year, the Hawks traded the 3rd pick to the Mavericks, and they got the 5th pick so they could get young, but they also got the Mavericks' 1st pick this year. Back then, how did you feel about the trade, and then how do you feel about the trade today?
Well, I didn't know enough. I mean, I knew that Luka was, this, phenom that was kind of like a Dirk Nowitzki kind of guy that played overseas, but I really liked Trae Young in college. I was a little worried about his size, if he was too frail, I guess, too
light.
Yeah, not big enough, frame. But I was actually okay with it. I really like it now. But I wasn't too messed up about it last year because I was excited when we drafted Trae.
Yeah. He makes Kyler Murray look thick. Just saying.
Yeah.
Those Oklahoma kids, they need to feed them something down there because they like them small. Maybe that's why they beat up on Texas because they're so much faster.
Yeah. I have to give you a quick story. I'll make this quick.
No worries.
It reminded me of when you were talking about the prospect that was sitting next to Zion and had nobody with him. Me and my wife and my daughter went to a signing one year. Georgia does a signing at the end of every year. All the seniors will be at a podium, and you can go and you buy like $20 a player, and you can go through and get whatever you want signed, footballs, etc. A few years ago, there was like 6 guys at the table. There's Chris Conley, Michael Bennett, Ray Drew, several guys who were really big in college, big names. And then at the end of the table was David Andrews, and he was an offensive lineman. He was our center. And my wife remarked at one point, because you could buy a ticket for each player. There was a super ticket for all of them. But nobody was going to David Andrews. He was a center. His autograph's not going to be worth anything. And my wife said, I feel really bad for that guy because nobody's getting his autograph. And she went and got his autograph. And of all those players at the table, David Andrews is the center for Tom Brady. He has 2 Super Bowl rings, and he was a captain on the Super Bowl team this year.
He's a hell of a player. And
it's like, he was right there. But he was an offensive lineman, so people were like, And he turned out to be a 2-time Super Bowl champion in his first 3 years in the league.
Yep. Some people surprise you.
You just never know. I mean, you can follow the Zions and everybody else, but you just never know on draft night which guys are going to do it.
Look at Donovan Mitchell. I mean, he fell to 14, ended up being one of the better players in that draft. I mean, I remember when the Kings took Isaiah Thomas 60th overall, last pick of the draft. Mm-hmm. And, he had a good career before he started getting hurt. Moving on, so Sports Card Radio sent out a tweet, and it involves a blowout forum post, and we'll link those up. But the tweet from Sports Card Radio, this is stunning. Why would Brian Gray of Leaf Trading Cards grade a bunch of cards literally worth 18 cents each when you can get a black label and pristine grades from BGS? That's why. So Super Dan 94 on Blowout Forums put this out. So he pulled some data from April 10th, 2017, BGS grading order from which those 2013 Panini Prism black labels I posted and originated. So the cards listed here only include cards from that set and various inserts which are graded that day. Here are the results. So there's 50 cards, and we're not going to go through all of them. But it's No Gum Cards is the account of Leaf CEO Brian Gray. Auburn 35 posted that Mr. Gray admitted as much of this in private messages. Worth Point data also shows that all 8 of the black labels listed above were sold by No Gum Cards. No Gum Just Cards. Thus, we conclude that these were either a personal BGS order for Mr. Gray or a Leaf company order. So there are 50 cards. 42 of them are priced at 18 cents. One was at 35 cents, one at 39, three at 45, one at $1.50, and two at $7.50. Both those are Mike Trout's. All of the cards were base short prints or base inserts, no colored prism parallels. The purchase price that's listed for the cards in today in raw form, ungraded, or conditioner from Sports Lots and or ComC. The total value of the 50 cards submitted was $26.15. Of these 50, this is all from the Blowout Post. Of the 50 graded cards, an incredible 50 of 50 were in BGS pristine 10 or better grades from Beckett, 100%. Out of those 50, 8 of them were awarded BGS 10 black labels, which is 16%. The Post states we do not know what service level Brian Gray submitted these cards under, and thus we do not know the price he paid per card. However, let's assume Gray paid Beckett's lowest stated rate of $8 a card at a 45-day service level. That means that $400 was invested in $26.15 worth of cards, 2013 Panini Prism base cards, which through the power of Beckett grading services all came back BGS 10 graded, BGS 10 pristine or better. So I saw these. One of them was a George Brett card, and I like I said, 18 cents is a. I was given these. People were sending me the Bretts for free. It goes back to, as we talked about, he had that part-time worker. It was Meet Joe Black Label, Joe Clemens, and how he had, all those. He went like 80 for 81 for 81 on ridiculous grades on cards and getting 10s. And now Brian Gray himself is grading very low end cards and getting pristine 10s on 18s. Why would you grade an 18-cent card? Because you knew you're going to get a black label and be able to sell it for God knows what the amount of price. This just goes back to more of this grading stuff, and I just think it leads to these guys on the Blowout forums. As we found out, they're a small minority, but being very vocal. I want them to keep going at it and keep researching this and keep posting it. I think it just tells us the grading is a farce, and we just need to stay away from it at this point. And I just want to know what your guys' thoughts are on a CEO grading 18-cent cards.
And it seems particularly coincidental that he's doing this at a time when he was talking about buying back people's cards so that he could sell them on presumably an individual product.
Yeah, buyback product type thing.
Something he's
got. And like I was showing just a few seconds ago, Leaf headquarters and Beckett grading headquarters aren't that far apart.
They probably met at Whataburger.
7 minutes. Yeah, probably. In and out. It seems especially coincidental given that if you look at the actual order and the grades that come out. However, statistics can show anything. I can get show you numbers that say that, well, it's this way, but if you look at it from any other angle, you would think that it's complete.
Yeah, numbers lie.
Made up.
Ben's always said, you make numbers say whatever you want. No one is that good. There's not two guys that work together that can pull off 50 for 50 10s or have 81 cards graded and get 10s on them. So you're talking 131 cards between two guys that are that good at looking at cards to know that they're going to get 10s and black labels.
You literally have a dark black storm cloud hanging over that portion of the hobby right now. And it's moving closer and closer to all these companies. And then Brian Gray got in his all-terrain Jeep, drove right into the eye of the storm, hopped out, pitched tent, and is kicking back sunbathing underneath this black tent. Like, what? Looking around like,
wrong.
What? It's absolutely crazy.
Guys, what it reminds me of is being a commissioner of a fantasy league and going in and changing your roster on a Tuesday morning after the Monday night game, and so because you lost by 1 and you change it so you win by 2. To me, that's what it looks like. We don't know any of this. We don't know any of this for certain.
No,
but
but
it's weird here. You have to say the 131 cards between two guys all got 10s or black or better black labels. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. I just don't get it, and no one's saying anything, and that's fine because their lawyers are probably telling them, "Yeah, you f***ed up. Don't say anything."
but don't double down and keep doing it.
Yeah, I just and then it came out. Remember how we talked about those Leaf original 1-of-1s and how Joe Clemens had like half of them or like a good third of them, and I found that I did some reading and saw that they were from like a giveaway at the National. Another Leaf employee got another quarter of those 1-of-1s. So between two Leaf employees or part-time employees or whatever they're considered there, half of those 1-of-1s that are supposed to go to consumers of Leaf product at the National last year ended up with two Leaf employees.
So, well, I got a joke and I've got a half-witted response. One, who's to say that anyone's actually buying Leap at the National? In particular, the years that they're talking about these buyback whatnots for. And yeah, as someone said in chat, this should come up in a court where you get investigators to pull it up and do all of the research, because it should be easy to trace. Hey, you're an employee here and you end up with all of these benefits that are supposed to go, not that you end up with benefits because companies can do that, but that you end up with benefits specifically aimed for customers. Now, if you go to the National, you buy a product, okay, fine, sure. But it's a little shady. And I think that should be the theme of the episode almost, that more transparency is needed. I would argue.
Yeah, it's just weird. We are running a little heavy today, but we're gonna bring more of this every week. I feel like there's something new every week, and it's sad. But you know what? Keep bringing it to light, and we'll figure this out as collectors. So hobby history. We're gonna hit score real quick, and the reason it's gonna be quick is because score is really blended as part of Pinnacle. And we're going to do a way bigger thing with Pinnacle because we have somebody that wants to come on the show and that knows a lot about Pinnacle and get really invested in that. So Score was a brand first released by Pinnacle in 1988 as a baseball release. It was the first brand new release since 81 when Fleer and Donruss came out. And it lasted about 10 years in the market. There's a great article on Wax Packs Gods by Adam Hughes, and we'll link that out, that said that 1988 Score had no soul. Read through it. It's a fun article. And I remember people getting really excited when Score came out because it was the first time in almost a decade where we got a taste of a new company hopping into the market. It was colorful. It had a colored back. It had a second picture on the back, lots of stats.
A ton of description.
Yes. Where it went wrong, we'll cover that when we review Pinnacle on a future episode. The brand license now is with Panini. They own the rights, and they release a Score football set post-draft every year, so it's one of the first football releases of the season. We want to hit the best designs of Score. So Joey, Dub, what are your favorite designs of Score that you remember?
Well, in baseball, I'd have to say 90 and 91 probably. 89 was real bland, like 90 Fleer almost. But 90 and 91 had some color. They introduced Dream Team. They brought out the those sketch all-star cards.
Yes, the character ones are my favorite cards of all time.
Yeah. So, I really like 90 and 91 Score baseball. I think my favorite is probably 89 Score football. It was colorful like 88 Score baseball was. They had borders that were sort of schemed after the jersey colors, and of course the rookie class that year was unbelievable. Dion, Troy Aikman,
in the first 4 picks.
Yeah, so that's probably my favorite 89 football. But after 89 football, I think Score football is not very good. The early 90s was not good for Score football, but I like 90-91 baseball.
Steph, what are your faves?
So I have 3 as well. But I went with the sentimental pick for one, and I chose 2 others just based on the color and design. I really wanted to go away from 88 score because I think it's kind of like the blandest of their releases. However, where'd the thingy go? There it is. First up, 95 score. 94, as it were. I just the blue borders kind of stand out, and I kind of like the stat backs that they had going at the time, as well. Some of the photo choices were really nice. This Manny included. Second score 95. I've always just liked the distinct design. You look at one of these, you see the cutout, almost design. Can't think of the words here. The cutout hosiery holes on the flare is nice. And then, first of all, 90 score. It's one of the first sets I broke as a kid. I broke my dad's factory set along with 1991 tops. And I've always grown to the colors. The rookies were kind of sharp. I think you had Frank, Bernie Williams, and Sammy Sosa. Not true rookies, of course, but
Todd Van Poppel in there?
no.
91. Okay.
Matter of fact, there he is. And as a kid growing and learning, the stats saying, well, he had a 7-game such and such, which tied a major league record, which tied to this player from this decade, which also was once held by this player. It's kind of nice to see the progression of stats and records. And it kind of made me pull those players aside, and it helped me learn value of, hey, Carlton Fisk is kind of somebody because he had a record here, or Ted Simmons has the all-time catching record for games played, or other little tidbits that I had on the back like that. It was nice to see.
Yeah, as you see, there's some 90 score football, and 90 score football was maybe one of my worst sets I've ever seen. Anyway, Ben, what are your favorites?
Yeah, unlike Dub, I actually liked 89 score. I thought the contrast of, they have a green border with like a little, it was like a diamond right over the player's name which had their position and their team name. But you kind of had like some greens and blues going on, some oranges and darker blues. Almost kind of had a feel of like a 1975 tops where the two colors didn't necessarily go together. So I thought I enjoyed it. But then again, I was also a big fan of 88 score, so 89 score is kind of an extension to me. We're so heavily influenced by what we did as kids that by the mid 90s I wasn't collecting, so I don't have any personal connection to those like Steph might. Number 2, I thought 89 score football was great. The green borders, the football helmets, like an actual helmet as opposed to just a logo or a team name in the corner, was great. And then, of course, number 1 has to be 88 score. I had such a connection to that. I've mentioned on this show before that I traded a Jordan rookie for an unopened box. I worked my dad hard out in the parking lot when I saw 88 score. I mean, I was crying and in tears, begging, pleading. I got it.
Was 6 months ago, guys.
It was 6 months ago. Absolutely was. So I mean, I'll die on that hill with both 88 score and 89 Bowman. Those were my sets growing up, man.
You also got like 90 Donruss. So
I like that 90 Donruss.
Like 3 of the ugliest and worst sets ever. Anyway,
if 89 Bowman had been regular size, man,
you'd have been better.
It would have been awesome.
Card.
Yeah, but that was also a throwback to that vintage, like the 52 tops and stuff like that. I think that's where they were going with it. But who can't get behind full breakdown of team by team stats? Your favorite player, what he did against the Tigers last year
on a dumb card. Yeah. My favorite sets from score: 91 score for baseball, 92 score baseball, because they were very similar and they had those character cards. The Dream Team, Kirby Cities was in there. You had that card in there. Those two sets were awesome. They had the number 1 draft pick cards that they continued from 90. So it was really cool. And 89 score football, hands down, just because of Barry Sanders, that draft class. You had Aikman, Sanders, Dion, Derek Thomas, and there. I mean, you had all those the guys they kind of gave rookie cards to, like from the '88 draft,
Michael
like
Irvin,
Sterling Sharp. Those guys got a little bit of love in that set too. It was just a good looking set, popped off. So it was sad when score kind of died out, and it died kind of a bad death. I think I guess we'll cover that later. You can still get score now. It's a good entry level product. We talked about that a few weeks ago. So, guys, any final thoughts before we end episode 53 with our great guest Dub?
Yeah, I got two things real quick.
There we go.
Yeah,
See the article. See how it all ties together.
Yeah.
I didn't put that together when we had the show notes talking about score, and you wrote the article on score. Like,
yeah,
that's
and
that's how you know we're professional.
It was all about 89
radio
score,
program.
really.
It was actually
It was clutch.
we had to talk to his people. Absolutely clutch. We had to talk to his people. I mean, we were going on this for weeks and weeks and weeks, man.
You wouldn't believe what we had to pay to get him on the show tonight.
Real
You
quick,
guys got robbed.
75, 88 Donruss, Ron Gantz.
Yes.
So
Yep. And a Ryan Klesko game used hat. So
That's
real quick.
Sweaty.
Our friend Chris Young, who's a supporter of the show, big Laureano collector, hopped into with our friends Mojo Break. First random, pulls the Blue Jays, and ends up pulling a finest auto red wave refractor of Vlad Jr.
nice.
Numbered out of 5. So it is a redemption. And he said that he screamed so loud that his lady got a little upset. And she wasn't quite understanding what that would mean. We look at it and go, dude, you got a Guerrero finest out of 5. I mean, we could geek out on him, with him on that, right? So the way I love analogies. The way he said it so that she would understand was, he said, imagine winning a 5-year supply of tacos. So that was funny. Congratulations to him. Obviously, Mojo, the great guys over there.
Really, I want to bring it up. Somebody was asking, and this goes back about Mojo, and they asked me about, the opinion, and like they said something about them being overpriced, and I said, you know what, they might have their prices might be a little bit higher than everybody else, but one, they guaranteed a break when they say, and this is no commercial, and they did not ask me to do this, I'm telling you this just from they're the only guys I do breaks with, but
Goodness of his heart.
yeah. They guarantee to break the day they say they're going to break. They're going to ship you everything in there unless they specifically say we're not shipping base, which very rarely happens. And only usually happens on Bowman breaks, like week 4 or later, like a month after it's come out, and they donate those cards to kids. And they set a price, and if it sells, it sells. And as it gets closer to the break, they lower the price until it sells. And they sometimes lose money on those teams because – if someone really wants to buy the Blue Jays and they buy it at a certain price, then they buy it. Sometimes they underprice it because there is no checklist. And so they're guessing on what's going to be in there. And so I just want to say, like, for all those out there, I mean, there are some really good breakers out there, but these guys are one of the best. And there's a reason why they've been doing this for almost a decade now. And everybody knows pretty much who they are. And, they have a great podcast, and they're on Wednesday afternoons. And I try to listen to them before our show. And to see what they're talking about, and if we're on the right page. And so I would give them a chance and take a look and see. And they're fun to listen to. They talk sports throughout it, and they're big homers for their teams, and they're not going to lie about it. And it's great. So, I mean, they're down to earth guys, and they're very helpful if you're looking to do something in the hobby as far as maybe doing some kind of a business and helping you get there. Dan and Doug are that way. They're not going to keep their secrets to themselves. They're going to tell you how to do it. And it's really hard work and sweat. And that's their secret sauce. I mean, they started with a $450 investment. In this last year, they did $5 million in sales, which is ridiculous. And they're in the Bay Area, and this is their full-time jobs. And I mean, that tells you, but how much work they put in. I've seen them since 2012, what the work they've put in. And they seriously are doing almost 100 breaks a week. And they're putting in the time and the effort, and give them a shot. So just they're good guys.
No, absolutely. They're friends of the show, and great guys, and we can't endorse them enough. I did have one other thing for anybody watching this on YouTube. anytime it cuts away to Dub, you'll see some pretty cool artwork above his shoulder. I'm pretty sure I know where that came from because I asked him one time when he was opening some stuff. Who does the artwork?
That would be my wife. Yeah, she
cool.
goes to these little art. It's called
The wine and painting.
Brush strokes and buzzed folks is what it's called.
Nice.
And so it's just these evening classes, and I mean she's got probably 10 of them up here, and I like them all. They're really cool. So I don't mind having that as my backdrop.
Yeah, I really like the one right over your right shoulder. What look like cats.
Oh, I like the bridge one.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah, the bridge, the cats, the.
See, and I got a thing for Ariel. So that one up there on the moon, that one I can dig.
Yeah. Well, guys, I want to say before we go, I appreciate you having me.
Oh yeah.
One, I really enjoy the show. I jump in as much as I can during the week. If I don't get to jump in, it's 11 o'clock here when you guys come on. But if I don't get it live, I always listen to it the next day. And you do exactly what your mission statement says. The by collectors, for collectors. You guys are really talk on our level as collectors. Tim does a great job of controlling the flow of the show, keeping these other two guys in line, and Ben's our numbers and economics guy and an occasional curmudgeon, and Steph is the guy who
occasional
the all-knowing Steph knows everything about every set created. And so I mean you guys have a great dynamic, and it's a very entertaining show, very knowledgeable when you guys are on, and I appreciate you having me.
Oh no, I think, man, thank you. Like, it means a lot. And to be honest, like, you were one of the guys we reached out to very early on when we had a test show. I think we sent you the link to check it out and take a look because we, just want your presence in the hobby and what you do for collectors, and the videos you got, the breaks you do, and just how you can communicate with everyone. And it's great to have you on. And this week, I mean, even you hooked somebody up with a mega box right this week, and they pulled a Vlad auto.
They pulled the Vlad number to 99. Yeah.
And
I haven't even pulled a Vlad.
Yeah, and so, well, hey, if he sells that shit, it's hard.
He messaged me. I don't want to blow up his spot, but he messaged me like as soon as he pulled it. He says, "Dude, what am I? I said, don't worry about it. I said, this is your card. It's your box. That's great. I'm happy for him. I mean, you've seen my videos. I'm fortunate enough to get to open so much product that, I hit this. We were talking about the Vlad. I hit this Soto number to 5 out of finest. I mean, I've hit some great stuff. So I mean, I'm excited the guy pulled it.
Yeah.
And we had. I know that we've gone through 5 waves of Bowman Mega at my Target. I must be one of like 3 collectors in my town, because it's there every time I show up at Target. And so I just picked up a few and sent it out, and the guy hit a Vlad Jr. green auto. So I mean, I think it's awesome.
That is that's truly awesome. The way you say, no, it's his card, and just that kind of stuff in the hobby, and there's other things, and definitely we appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us. And we talked about the show about all the famous people from Leesburg, right? And Dub's at the very, very top with Buster, Posey, Luke Bryant, and then who was the other one?
Philip Phillips is the other guy. He won American Idol one year. So.
Yeah, so Dub hits cleanup in that lineup, but he's the most famous on our heart side.
I'm the only one that's still here.
Yeah, and even over Buster, hey. But
that's why we had you on. We knew that you'd be a great personality to come on, and I know we've had some joking arguments back and forth about a certain World Series, and
not allowed to talk about.
It is what it is that I'm not allowed to talk about, so I won't. But it is what it is, and it's nice to see that even joking arguments can be set aside to have a productive podcast. And I want to say it first to anyone that's actually made it this far. I'm sorry for the screw up earlier on in the episode. So the service that we use when you launch in from a computer anyway. It lets you select which microphone you want to use and which video camera or where you want the sound to come out of. And normally, every episode prior, I've hooked everything up. I've hit go, and it's run straight through my Blue Yeti. Well, tonight it decided to run through the headset that I have. So every time I thought I was muting it to cough, every time I thought I was muting it to call Angela, I'm sorry.
Angela!
It won't happen again.
As he dies here on the video.
It's cool. It's a new About the Cards hashtag that'll probably live on forever, just like Kirby's titties. And
Well, Angela is the best part of the offers. So, no, and hey, so Deb, where can we find you? Because I believe it feels like almost weekly or bi-weekly you're on doing a box break and just having a chat with collectors. So where can we find you on social media and on the internet?
I'm at Dub Mentality on Twitter. My blog, which unfortunately has suffered somewhat with the other writing gigs I've been fortunate to get. My blog is also www. I hate saying that. Dub, especially following up with that, dubmentality.com. I have, Periscope channel, which is also Dub Mentality, where I do most of my box breaks. I love interacting with. I mean, that's what kind of brought me to appreciate Twitter. Is I've said this before to some certain people. I've collected most of my life with a couple of dark periods, but it was always fun, and I always look back on the memories when I collected with my friends in high school or middle school, and we traded or we talked about our favorite players. We ragged them about theirs, Kent Herbeck, and that's what Twitter has become for me. And that's what Periscope is. That's what this podcast is. It's like-minded people that are just sharing the hobby with each other, and I'm enjoying it. So, but that's where I'm at. My Dub Mentality everywhere is my Twitter, my website, my Periscope feed. So,
And thanks for the assist, Tim. That's actually where I was about to go. Was where can we find you, your social media and whatnots? And I'm sure when we go to tweet this out, we'll include it and tag you and include all the blog links. So.
And now we can officially say we've had Dub.
Hey, I just hope you guys have a episode number 54 after having this one.
We might just now because Rich Klein listened for over an hour tonight.
Hey,
the fact that Uncle Rich lasted that long with us says something.
Miracles.
Well,
I gave Rich a shout out on Facebook because Rich I've met Rich at the industry summit face to face.
Sure,
but Rich is one of those guys that, as me being a Beckett magazine reader and somebody who it was the kind of an ultimate dream as a writer to be in there. Yeah, he wrote in all those 89 and 90 Beckett's that I read from cover to cover, and so I shouted out Rich and the editor Mike Payne and Cracknell and all those guys who kind of helped me get to where I'm at with this writing. I've got a new series that's going to be coming out in the Beckett Baseball Monthly that's starting with the next release, and each release will be about a particular junk wax set. That's kind of my bread and butter.
1991 Fleer.
I will have a 91 Fleer, but you'll have to wear your sunglasses to when you do that one.
Outstanding. Well, we appreciate it tonight, and we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific or 10 Central on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review to our show on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcast enjoyment. You're going to follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. Follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. Follow Stefan at Junk Wax Twins. Follow Dub at Dub Mentality. Always follow me at Big Shep 79, TBS Sports Cards. Please share your hobby stories and great polls. Send your questions and messages our way. We appreciate it. Lots of good things this last week, and we continue. We'll see you next Wednesday with episode 54 as we continue into season 2 of this fun show. We'll talk to you next week, guys. Later.
Yep. Have a great night.